morning sunshine, rocking the good time with all our friends. Easy and carefree, out in the summer breeze, loving a simple things for hours on end. Right about sundown, we lay on the ground, count on the stars as they come out one at a time. Ain't this a sweet life?
Hey everybody, I'm X Factor winner Tate Stevens, and welcome to the Sweet Life Podcast, where we talk about everything from music, sports, food, entertainment, and, well, just living the sweet life. Hey everybody, Tate Stevens here with AJ Kronk as usual.
Yep.
Today, I got a buddy of mine in here with us today, and we're gonna talk about a few things, but mainly he's a gun store owner, Gunner's Firearms in Raymore, Missouri. He's a member of the NRA. Has been for years and years and years. Anyway, he's going to talk to us today and kind of tell us the ins and outs of owning a gun store, being in that line of work. The good, the bad, the ugly kind of thing with that. Also, we're going to hit on Second Amendment a little bit. Just kind of, he may have some be able to answer some questions that, I have, or, maybe someone else has and has thought about it. Maybe he can talk a little bit about it, hit on that, conceal and carry, constitutional carry, kind of everything. We're just going to hit on all of it. So we're ready, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Nothing but the best, Ron. It's nothing but the best. All right, Ron Sevart is here with us in studio today. So welcome, Ron.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, man. Now, we've known each other since what? Our kids were junior high, right? They started playing baseball together, right? And we hunt together and fish and do all that stuff. So let's start. Growing up, hunted, fished, obviously, there in Parsons. Grew up in Parsons, Kansas. What member of the NRA from then? Was you like your dad part of the NRA, or?
No, it wasn't my dad. I had my brothers. My brothers really were the ones that kind of put me under their wing and got me started in the hunting and the fishing part of it.
Right.
But I do believe my oldest brother was an NRA member. My second to the oldest brother did join after that.
Right.
And then I've been a life member of the NRA for the last 10 years.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so you're on, I'm going to say, our side of the fence when it comes to gun control and gun laws and things like that. Meaning, we both I guess support the Second Amendment in
absolutely
in all that. In fact, your boat. The name of your boat is Second Amendment.
It sure is.
So kind of good, right? Anyway, and we'll talk about that, the lake stuff too, the fun stuff. But so let's start. How did you get involved in the gun business? What brought you into, I'm going to open a gun store, or I like guns. I'm just gonna. What was it? What made you get into that business?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I'd say it goes back to about 15 years ago. I loved hunting. I loved shooting. I did not have a father that was into that type of environment, right? Mm-hmm. So my brothers are the ones that took me under the wing, got me started with that. Uh-huh. I also had brother-in-laws that hunted. A lot, and I spent a lot of time with them. And as I got through that stage, and about 15 years ago, I started really thinking, you know what, I really want to add to some of the collection that I have. And I had a very small collection at that time. And when I started going through, and I went to a couple gun stores, I'd say probably about 2009, 2008, went to a couple gun stores, local gun stores, and met up with a few folks. Actually, one of the guys that I originally met is now my business partner.
Oh, okay.
And we met in a gun store. And it kind of kicked off, and he and I had similar, just similar things that we really liked. A couple things that really hit us home. He recently lost his dad. I had lost my dad recently, and we kind of hit it off. And all of a sudden, we started hunting together, doing a little fishing together. And next thing you know, we were talking about, hey, it'd be kind of nice to have our own FFL. And then reality hit, right?
Right.
Because there is a lot to it.
Right.
Right. You have to have, you have to have your ducks in a row. You have to be very, very tight in regards to going through background checks. We did apply and we got our license and we started our gun business very similar to what you started your podcast in the basement of a house. Right.
Nice.
And
Okay.
That's,
All
that's
right.
kind of how we started.
So, so take me through the process of getting, because the government is not just going to issue people licenses for selling firearms. It's just not going to, I mean, I'm sure that process is probably pretty strenuous as far as, like you said,
is.
you got to have your ducks in a row, but they probably check, double check, triple check things, I mean, obviously I don't know, but I mean, I would assume they do they draw your finances, they draw everything.
They do a complete background check,
Yeah.
Fingerprints, photos, all of that. You have to go through it. It's a multi-page document that you have to fill out in triplicate. Actually in triplicate because there is no carbons, but you don't get a carbon through it.
Right.
And then they go through a extensive background check, and then you have visitations from local ATF agents.
Oh, wow.
So they come to your facility and sit down with you and spend literally hours asking you questions, looking at what your plans is, what your business plan is, and things of that nature.
Right. Okay. So, I would think, I mean, any business that you want to get into, you have to do your due diligence and kind of plan and get your business model. What's your business model? What is your plan? What's your MO for your business? Basically. And to me, I think just dealing with the ATF is kind of intimidating, I would imagine. Those guys come in and they're staring holes through you because they want to see something bad in you so they can shut you down, because they don't want another firearms dealer, sure, Bass Pro, Walmart, the big chain stores and things like that, probably a little easier for them because it's like, oh, we're just selling mass quantities of guns and ammunition for hunters and different things and sport shooters. But for you or I to go, we're going to get in that business, we're going to get in that game, they're probably like, all right, dude, who are you and why do you want to do this? Yeah,
that's exactly what they did. And, to be honest with you, when you start going back and looking back at what we went through to get to that, the regiment's pretty stringent. And when you start looking at, even you go back 8 to 10 years ago when we first started really kind of getting our storefront up and running, there was a lot of scrutiny on gun shop owners.
Right.
And they were going down and really putting the clamps down on folks that were just had an FFL in their house, right? So they were looking for storefront. They were looking for brick and mortar. They were asking for pictures of your storefront. So they did a lot back then. You mentioned the ATF and out to get you. There's a lot of people's thoughts around the ATF and what they're out there to do. But quite honestly, they're there to help you. And that's one thing that, my business partner and I both talked about when we first got into this business. We sat down and put together our plan, right? Business plan. And then we sat down and talked about the ethics around our business.
Right.
And we said we'd never cut corners. We'd never, we'd pay our taxes, never cut corners, and we'd never do anything unlawful, because we get this question all the time. They say, what's your biggest threat? Is it somebody somebody coming in and robbing you at gunpoint? Is it somebody breaking into your facility, which we've had that happen.
Right.
And our answer is our biggest threat is screwing up and the ATF taking our license. That's the biggest threat.
Right.
It's really making sure that we look at everything in triplicate. And it's crazy to think after you look at something 3 times over that you could still find a mistake. You're going to still find a mistake.
Right. Yeah, oh, absolutely. I would imagine. I wasn't saying really they're out to get you, but they're probably looking at you to try to find holes in your business plan.
That is absolutely correct.
You know what I mean? So because they can't just have loons out there selling guns or trading guns or getting guns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we'll talk about, I know you go and you buy, you go to a big estate sales and things like that, and you purchase guns.
Sure.
For the store and all that, and for your own collection. You got a, pretty vast personal collection also, which is awesome. But so, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like the ATF they're probably looking at you like, all right, Ron, if your name's Ron. You know what I mean?
Really.
Is your name really Ron?
They're looking for repetitive infractions, right?
Right.
Anything that they can see that you're having a problem with. I'll give you an example. If you if you do a transfer of a gun to an individual without them signing the document, that's an infraction, right?
Right.
If you forget a date, or the date doesn't necessarily
match
up to something on say their driver's license, whole different story.
Right.
That's just a minor, but minors do add up to majors, right?
Yeah.
So they're looking at things, and they're going to find, no matter what, they come to us every roughly about every 9 to 12 months. They come and visit us and spend literally 3 days with us. Mm-hmm. They go through all the documentation,
right? And
they'll come back at the end, and they'll work with you during the time and say, here's what you need to look at. This is, who is this guy? Because he's pointing to me. Hey, who's this guy? This guy needs to make sure that he's checking these, right?
Right.
And those are the things that really help us.
So you don't make the mistake.
Solidify the concerns around the mistakes.
Well, it makes sense. Like I said, I just, for somebody who's not in that game, in that business, dealing with government officials and agents and agencies anyway, is kind of intimidating just because they're really out. It is for protection. It's to protect the mass public. But it's also, they're there to shoot holes in your game. They're there to pick you apart.
And
because,
and we asked them, hey, what are you seeing? What can we do different? Right.
Yeah.
And they came back. Even recently, we had an ATF audit not that long ago, and we came back at the end and went through everything. And we said, okay, what can you tell us? What does your supervisor want you to tell us to make it better? Mm-hmm. What can we do different? And they gave us pointers. You need to watch for this. You need to watch for that. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of it's around just making sure that you're mindful of the individual coming into the store. And you understand their mannerisms. Because there's people, not a lot, but there's enough people come in to try to purchase a firearm with the intent to turn it over and selling it to somebody else. And there's a lot of things you can do by just watching their activities and how they handle that.
Okay, so you sell me a gun, and I turn around and sell it to AJ. I mean, what stops people from doing that?
Okay, so there's the timing of that. So you can acquire a gun from me, right? Go through the paperwork, get a proceed, have the firearm, and in say 3 months, 2 months, whatever down the road, you want to sell that gun.
Right.
You can do that. You can do a couple different ways. The best way to do it is to do a transfer. The second best way, and it's very legal, is to do a bill of sale. Just do a bill of sale, write a bill of sale up. Right. Put AJ's name, AJ, you sign your documentation, you give him a copy of your driver's license, you write the information down, you swap it, and you say, yeah, I bought this from Tate for $200, and I'm good to go, right? Right. So those are things that you can do. But what I'm talking about is, they call them straw purchases. And we've had instances where people will walk in, and they'll walk in and immediately go to, a case or a gun display, and they'll look at you, and you'll walk over and you say, can I help you? Yeah, I want that gun. Well, these are people that we've never seen before. So, of course, I'm going to ask questions. Right. And some of the questions that you ask is very simple. Well, what kind of gun is that? I just want that gun. Okay. That's a key, right? That's a flag. Yeah, flags. That person was sent in there to do something that they shouldn't be doing legally. Right. So it was an illegal. So those are the things that we've got to really watch for. Mm-hmm. And it sounds crazy, but as simple as somebody acquiring a gun, going through the process, getting a proceed, and then paying for it with a credit card that does not have their name on it. We will terminate that transaction. Terminate right. Unless they have rightful ownership to that. Say it's a spouse or something like that, and you have rights to the. Right. So there's a lot of things that we go through, and in a lot of cases, we do decline people, and it's tough to do.
I was going to ask you that. So if I come in and maybe I'm not, maybe I just don't know, maybe I'm not educated enough on a firearm, and I'm like, man, I want a shotgun, and I'm looking at a rifle. And I'm like, I want, and you're like, man, that's not a shotgun, buddy. That one is. Yeah. Okay, yeah, cool. I'll take that one. I don't know if you can.
We get a lot of people that'll come in the first time buyer. Right. And, they'll come in and say, yeah, I want to buy. Usually it's not like that, but usually it's, hey, I want to buy a revolver, or I want to buy my first handgun. Sure. And just had an instance today where I had a young lady come in, and her husband, she wanted to buy her first handgun. Right. And I took her through a series of questions, wanted to understand exactly what she could physically do with a gun. Has she ever shot a gun, right? Do you know anything about a gun? Have you ever cleaned a gun? Those are just fundamentals. And that will get you to a point to where then you can dial that person into a firearm that you feel comfortable talking to that individual with.
Right. Right. Yeah, well, and I'm sure you get the guy who knows everything about all guns too. They're like, "What do you got that Python there? You got it for, that's way too much. I can get 4 of those for that." I'm sure you got those guys and things like that. But for the most part, do you see your everyday, I'm not calling them I don't know, your everyday citizen, meaning not really a hunter, not really an outdoors person, just looking for maybe home protection, that kind of thing, personal protection with a weapon. There's some, I have feelings good and bad about people, with guns, that aren't outdoors people, or don't shoot, or don't, and I hate to be that. That sounds pretty hypocritical, but you know what I mean? They have an idea about a gun, because a gun can't kill anybody.
Yep.
A bullet can't kill anybody unless it's fired from a gun by a person.
Yep.
Right? I can have a loaded gun and set it on a table, and that gun will never kill anyone until I pick it up and squeeze the trigger.
That's true. You
know what I mean? So, just knowing about weapons and guns and there's guns, you could put a gun in my hand, and I'm like, I'll look at it like, this is a banana. I don't know what it is. How do I use it? I can squeeze. It's not working. What do I do? So the normal citizen, that's what your normal everyday citizen. Hey, I need some protection. Walk me through the best gun for my situation, and that's what you guys have to do on a daily basis, probably, right? More so than like a hunter coming in and going, man, I really want that Thompson Center, the new Thompson Center black powder gun. Do you have one? You know what I mean? You probably have more of the everyday citizens that are just looking for home protection or personal protection.
Yeah, we actually do, and even more so, since COVID hit, last February, right? That's things kind of picked up a little bit there in regards to business. People were at home a lot. People were a little bit more concerned, not knowing what people might consider doing. Right.
You had the scare of everything going to be gone. You can't buy toilet paper, you can't buy paper towels. Yeah. So, I look at your house and I'm like, I bet they got toilet paper. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you don't know. You don't know what people are going to do to get what they need. Bleach. I mean, who in the hell thought bleach was going to be an issue to get, Hand sanitizer, I'm like, what people are drinking this stuff, I guess, and then all of a sudden we could buy 8 gallons of hand sanitizer for $2. Yeah. Hand sanitizer was never.
Well, it's because the distilleries were making it. They were getting rid of all their
that old alcohol sitting around.
But no, you ask a good question. We definitely gear and steer our customers in the right direction. And if I've got somebody that's just not comfortable with a handgun, we have an individual there that is a very good friend of ours and a very good client of ours that does a lot of training. And I get them hooked up with their trainer. And I said, hey, if all you're looking for is, rudimentary, entry level understanding of a gun, that's what you need. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that. You have to. Like I said, hunting and fishing my whole life. Hand me a rifle or a shotgun, I'm pretty capable of knowing how it works,
Sure.
And most handguns, but there are some guns that I'm like, I don't know. What's this? This is a cool little button here, or this little tag. Pull this little thing, and what happens when I do that? You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know, because I'm not around. I'm not like a real sports shooter. And I know that's a big thing right now. People are doing a lot of sports shooting.
Oh yeah,
which is cool to watch. But not for me. I'm not in that. I'm not into that, but
our clientele has changed a lot over the last 12 years, going on 12 now. When we first started, it was all, back in 2010, 2011, everything was about concealed carry. Mm-hmm. And everybody was wanting firearms, right? Handguns.
Right.
Everybody was wanting concealed carry permits.
Right.
And you had a flood of individuals that were either licensed or NRA licensed and sanctioned. And you had others just doing it fly by night to get things done. Mm-hmm. And, but, we really catered to what I would say is a concealed carry clientele. Since then, we've changed considerably.
Really?
Our clientele's changed quite a bit. We've got more now getting into hunting and things of that nature. And we've actually, even some of the people wanted us to start selling some archery components, and the only thing we'd sell there is crossbows.
Right.
But
right.
The clientele's changed quite a bit, and our inventory's changed quite a bit. It's something that we take pride in, and again, it goes back to just being as ethical as you can be, and we've got probably one of the best clientele bases that we have. We have so much repeat business there; it's unbelievable.
Right, and people come in, and I go. I showed up to your customer appreciation day, and which is awesome. Grilling hot dogs and stuff out in the parking lot. You got a bunch of vendors there showing new stuff and things like that. Pretty cool. Pretty cool deal. And I noticed a lot of people when we were there at the last one, a lot of people were, like old buddies, because they've been they've been your clients for, I guess since you started basically, so they're like, hey, so-and-so, hey, how's the grandkids, that whole thing, which is awesome. As an owner, that's kind of what you want.
Absolutely.
You need that. So they'll send their kids and their grandkids and, you know what I mean? So you get that repeat business and then their friends and tell their friend, obviously word of mouth is really big in this, in that world too. But let's talk about, so you started basically in the basement of the house, in your house or Brian's?
It was in Brian's house. Yeah, we started there. It was short-lived.
Right. Now, have you always been in the building you're in now?
Yes.
So that's where that was your first storefront. You went there.
Yeah. Well, that storefront was existing. We helped both my business partner and I helped get that store opened under the first ownership.
Oh, okay.
And they opened that up, and we did a lot of the remodeling.
Hold on. I'm going to punch my dog in the face. He's down there barking.
I've always thought about, possibly going and getting like just just something small, like a little Glock or something, just to have around the house, just in case, whatever. Not that anything's, ever going to go south at the house or anything that I need a gun to go shooting somebody.
You'd be surprised, AJ, how many people still they use the reference zombie apocalypse, and I hear it about every 2 weeks.
Jesus,
I said, what do you need today? I'm just looking for a handgun and a rifle for the zombie apocalypse. I'm like, okay. What about somebody breaking into your house?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably That's probably something else I need to consider. Yeah.
Zombie apocalypse. Man, people are ate up, man.
All right. Anyway, like I said before, I don't even remember what I was talking about now.
What were you talking about was getting into the business and what really got me going there.
So you get your first storefront there in Raymore. Been the same place the last 12 years, right?
Going on 12 years.
So how does the city now? I'm sure they had some funky regulations for gun stores, or maybe not because they probably never had one. Right? Did Raymore ever have a gun store before?
Again, the gun store that we have today was in operation for about a year and a half before we got it.
Oh, okay. So that was already a gun store there. Oh, okay. All right. Never mind then.
So it was a business license is what it was.
Okay. Yeah. So, but now is there any big hoops you have to jump through the city of Raymore having a gun store?
No, not really. Not any hoops. No, there's really not. I mean, you pay your business license and you move on and go from there. I mean, we've had our ups and downs in regards to some of the things. I mean, one of the obstacles that we've always had from day one is getting word out and visibility.
Yeah, because you can't have signage out front.
Yeah, so signage out front. There's a sign out there. It displays a couple different businesses that's in that strip mall. We're not able to alter it. You're not able to put another sign up out there. And if you put anything out there, it's temporary. You only have a few days that you can run it. So it's kind of tough. That's probably one of the toughest things. Somebody asked me, what's the thing that would make a difference? Well, advertising.
Signage for sure. Yeah. Just even on 58.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I didn't get the door shut all the way.
Trying to get in?
Yeah. No, he's on the bed. He can't get down.
Oh.
That would be a big help, obviously. Just getting signage. I wonder, could you put something on 58? Could you put something on 58 down the road somewhere?
Oh, yeah.
On the Belton side and point, big flashing pointing finger, like go that way.
The only thing you can really do is a billboard.
Right.
You know, and I've got mixed emotions on billboards. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you had one there in the field that you guys had.
Yeah.
You guys had a little billboard there.
And we got a lot of business, a lot of people there. What hurts though, you know, Tater, at the end of the day, when I got customers come in, and I had one yesterday, came in the shop and they said, "Wow, this is really cool." I said, "Where are you from?" He says, "I live 4 blocks away."
Didn't even know.
And I'm like, "How long have you lived here?" He said, "About 10 years." He says, "I didn't even know you were here." That just cuts through me.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and I keep asking myself, what can we do different? What do we do? What do we need to do different?
What about ads in the paper? I mean, in the Herald or in the Gazette and all that. I mean, you could just always run a little ad, maybe. And
I don't know what the circulation is in the Herald and the Gazette anymore, but I doubt if it's anything. Facebook was our biggest. I mean, that was the biggest thing that we advertise as much as we can. Now there is limitations. You can't sell, guns on there. You can't put prices and things like that. But there's ways of getting around some of that. And we have a Facebook page, and we work that. That's
so okay. So what is your biggest? Let's get into that right now. What is the biggest? Would that be considered? Would you think that just the advertisement and getting the word out, is that the biggest obstacle that you guys have?
Yes.
Just that's it.
That's really it. I mean, you look at it as a business as it is, and you try to. I mean, we reach people from St. Joe. We've got people from Warrensburg.
Right.
I mean, we have people calling from other states that we transfer guns to because they heard that we have a specific gun, and they see it on some kind of a site, right? And they can see our inventory, and they'll say, "Man, you still have that certain gun." And we'll tell them, "Yeah," and we'll do that. We'll take that. So they'll do the transfer, and we'll transfer it over to another FFL form in another state. We've done that, and there's a few states you can't do that to on certain regulations.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how can you just ship guns anywhere you want?
You've got to abide by the regulations in regards to shipping guns,
right.
And very few. What I'm going to say, like UPS and people like that, you've got to use a certain carrier and a certain way.
Right.
And you've got to go that route.
Okay. Let's get into the conceal and carry thing a little bit. Well, we know we touched on it briefly a little bit. So all 50 states have some sort of a conceal and carry or open carry or something, some sort of carry available for the people. So in Missouri, conceal and carry in Missouri, do you still need your the issued permit for that now?
The concealed carry permit?
Do you still need that in Missouri or not? I can't remember. I thought they did away with the permit.
Well, no, the permit's still in place. The permit's still there. You can still go through a concealed carry course, and pass the course, do your shooting and qualification, get everything taken care of, go to the sheriff office, get everything squared away, and get your permit.
Right.
That's still the case. But recently, I think it was in 2015 is when it first came up. It was vetoed by, I think, Governor Nixon at that time, and then in 2016, it actually was adopted, and it was called the constitutional carry.
Right.
And we'll touch on that, but let me go back to the concealed carry, because a lot of people don't understand some of the ramifications that can happen if you don't understand it versus the constitutional carry.
So, yeah, let's talk. Conceal and carry, just in its name, means I can conceal a weapon.
Yes.
On my person.
Yes.
Anywhere I want.
Yep.
That you don't see.
Correct. As long as you possess
a permit.
Permit.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah.
And there's age restrictions there. Okay.
Right. So, but I mean, I'm just saying, if I'm legal age, I can do it. I go get my permit, go take the course, get all my stuff. I can carry a gun anywhere on my person that I choose to.
Yes.
Concealed.
Yes.
So take it from there. The people, because people don't understand, you can't just go anywhere.
That's true.
That's the issue that a lot of people have, probably, or run into maybe walking into a federal building.
Sure.
So you go ahead and tell.
Yeah, there's a few other things too before I hit the 17 different federal locations. But the one thing that a lot of people don't realize, even with a concealed carry permit, so let's talk a little bit about age. For many years, it's 21 years old, right? Now it's 19. Now think about this: 19 years of age, you can have a concealed carry permit and carry a handgun, right? Concealed. However, you as an individual at 19 cannot purchase a handgun until you're 21, legal age. So your father would have to pass the gun down to be able to do that. So there's a little bit of weirdness there in regards to that. So at 19, okay, you can conceal carry in the state of Missouri. Where you have states that are, that recognize the concealed carry permit, you're able to conceal carry under their guidelines, right? Under their state guidelines.
So you should should check.
So give you an example. AJ, you're 19 today. You've got a gun. Okay, I'm going to pull AJ into this. So AJ has got a gun. It was given to him. It was given to him and transferred over by his parents. He has a concealed carry permit in the state of Missouri. Okay, at 19, carry it all you want in Missouri. Cross over to Kansas, you're in violation. It's a felony because you're not 21. Kansas is 21. So you really need to understand the regulations and the rules. So that's the key. Now, keep in mind, a concealed carry permit allows you, to your point, Tater, to conceal that weapon and carry that anywhere you want, with the exception, okay, when you see the signage, and a lot of people on this podcast probably understand the signage that we're talking about.
Right.
It's a certain size, shows the handgun, it shows a circle around it, red circle with a slash. Right. There's 17 locations that you are not allowed to carry a gun in. Federal courthouses, postal services. Here's, and I'll keep going. Anything that's federally issued and federally governed.
Right.
That's the area. So here's another one, and I'll get to that on the constitutional carry. Everything is in unison in regards to the building, with the exception of schools. A school zone, you're infraction.
In a school zone.
In a school zone. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the constitutional carry, because there is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There's no way of getting around that. But typically, when you have a concealed carry permit and you happen to breach the door of one of the federal government locations, right? Federal locations, they will politely tell you, hey, you got a gun, you need to leave, right? The one exception is probably a courthouse, and if you get into the courthouse with that, you're probably going to go to jail.
Right.
But they're going to tell you, hey, you got a permit, it's legal, I see it, go get rid of the gun, you can come back in, right? So that's some of the things that you got to think about when you're going through. And I know the state of Missouri recognizes, I believe all the states, all 50 states, plus one, I think it's 51. So all the states, they recognize their concealed carry permits with regulations. However, the states that recognize Missouri are much smaller. So there's 18 unrestricted states and 18 states, additional states that have restrictions. And they don't abide by,
So your Missouri doesn't mean anything to them. You're like,
in some cases, restrictions.
Right.
There's restrictions to it. So you can still, they accept it. But then obviously there's a handful of states, California, Illinois, Minnesota, northeastern states, no. They're not going to play that game.
Right.
They're not even part of that.
Yeah, they're like, who cares?
Yeah. So
go back to Missouri.
When you look at a concealed carry permit, I always give the recommendation, go get the permit.
Right.
Because there's going to be a time that you're going to go across that state and you're going to get yourself in trouble. Constitutional carry, a little bit different.
Right. So explain that, because I'm kind of new to the constitutional carry thing. I didn't.
So in the state of Missouri, constitutional carry, and you can look at the wording. As a resident of the state, you can actually open carry or conceal carry, okay, without a permit. Without a permit in the state of Missouri, okay?
Okay.
That's very vague, and that's the problem. People look at that and say, well, I've got an open, I can go out and do whatever I want. I can open carry. I see people all the time. I've seen people in Walmart carrying
guns. I see it
a
too.
gun.
Yeah.
Right? That's a constitutional carry. Herein lies the problem. If they get caught with that gun, either concealed or open, in a school zone, you will be going to jail. That is a.
I didn't know the school zone. I knew the schools.
School zone. Anything that's surrounded by the school signs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you're sitting in a parking lot in the school,
you can't. Yeah.
No, it kind of goes back to where I was talking. This goes back years ago when my son was actually on the trap team for the local school.
Right.
And I talked to Cruz. Right. I said, hey, coach, I want to come up and get Chris, and then we're going to go to the trap range. He goes, whatever you do, don't have a shotgun in your truck. Never thought about that. Same thing.
Hayden probably should have went to jail. Because I know there was times that he had a gun in his truck at school.
But constitutional carry is
because he was hunting. He'd go hunting in the evening. So, yeah,
it's very cautious. I'd be very cautious if you know the rules and regulations. Here's the other thing: it's state governed,
right.
but every city has their own
Rules.
and laws.
Right.
And some don't allow it. And if you don't know what that is, you can go from one city to the next and be in violation.
Yeah. That's so it's kind of, to me, and I think getting your conceal and carry permit would be smart thing to do if you're wanting to carry a gun, for protection or whatever. The smart thing to do, but it's also like you need to do your homework. You really need to figure out, if I carry this, there's only a handful of places I can go.
Yep.
Really, at the end of the day, if you look at the big picture, obviously school zones, I mean, that's no, any federal government building, you can't go. And then like city by city, state, in city by city, you might not be able to carry, like you go walk into Walmart. Yeah, you might have your gun on your hip because you're constitutionally carrying a weapon and you can do that. But maybe in that city, you can't.
Right. You need to know the city rules and city laws and regulations.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of homework for somebody to do who wants to carry a gun. Is it a bad thing? No. You need to be smart about what you're doing, especially with a firearm. Firearms, to me, and this has nothing to do with conceal and carry or anything, it's about hunting, but I think it's ridiculous that I can take a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 3-year-old kid out with a rifle and let that 5, 4, 3, 2, whatever age I want to send it out to 15, and here, put this on that animal and squeeze the trigger. When you look at it through the scope, squeeze the trigger, and it's okay. But that same kid can't shoot a bow until he has his hunter safety course. You're talking about a 25-yard shot or however the hell long your gun will shoot shot. You know what I mean? Yeah. It makes zero sense to me. I don't understand why it's backwards to me. I think you should be able to bow hunt up into a certain age and then have, I don't think it's a bad thing to get your hunter safety. I had to take it when in school and stuff, we did it. So I think it's a good thing to do, but it's backwards.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be able to gun hunt until you take your hunter safety. It makes more sense. I can shoot you in a tree at 500 yards with a gun. I can't do that with a bow.
No.
You know what I mean? I can shoot a cow across the street on accident. I can't do that with a bow.
No.
You see what I'm saying? I think that part of our little deal
that's
is
just one
backwards.
piece of it that's backwards. There's a lot that's backwards.
I know there's a lot. I'm just saying that's kind of bothered me. And along with the conceal and carry and constitutional carries, I mean, you just got to do your homework and basically figure out, hey, do I really want to carry a gun?
So that's an interesting comment. Do I really want to carry a gun? So that's some of the questions I have when people come in and say, yeah, I want a concealed carry weapon. And the first question I ask after we go through and identify exactly, what make, what model, what caliber, right? I'll say, so are you really going to carry this gun? Well, I'll probably leave it in my vehicle. And I'll say, never leave your gun in your vehicle. Never.
Yeah.
Because, if it gets broken into, it's going to be the first thing that's gone. So you don't want to ever leave your gun in and I said, and if you're going to carry, make damn sure that the gun is ready to fire. Because we have so many people that'll come in and say, yeah, I carry, but I never have one in the breech of the gun or the barrel.
Well, that makes zero sense.
I'm like, well,
we got to throw it at them.
Yeah, it's literally seconds.
Hey, hold on. Let me put one in there.
Yeah, and in the heat of the moment, you're not going to remember that.
Yeah, right? No, absolutely not. That's why, we had talked about, I was getting Ashley a little hammerless revolver. There's zero thought. It's pick it up and start squeezing the trigger, and you're going to get 5 rounds out before, you have to think about anything. And I think that's for most people, most people would probably vapor lock in a situation where they would have to shoot, God forbid, anybody have to shoot anyone unless it's, self-defense, and that's the last thing you can do to protect yourself from dying. Yeah. And you know what I mean? I think it would be horrendous to have to shoot somebody. Just, you know what I mean? But
I get people that'll question me. Well, wait a minute. I can get, especially with semi-automatic pistols, I can get the slide racked in time. And I said, go out in Google Go out and Google, and you can find it in various different ways, and talk about confrontations. I said, there's so many that's out there. There's one that I always watched, and it's a gentleman with a knife, and the guy's 25 to 30 feet away.
Yeah.
And that guy with a knife got to the guy with a gun before he was able to get his gun pulled.
Really?
And racked and ready to go.
That's crazy.
So that tells you right there, you don't have the time.
Yeah, and like, again, yeah, that's yeah. And plus you're freaking out anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, all right, hold on just a second. I'm going to go punch my dog in the face. He's freaking crazy, dude. If Ashley was here, you wouldn't hear a peep.
Get a Valium?
Yeah. I'm just going to bring you up here. I'll probably have to hold it. Go!
Pour some beer.
It's working all right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sounding good.
So you got a gig coming up on, you said July 4th weekend?
Possibly. I don't know. The guy kind of heading that up, he just asked me if I was playing, and he said, like, yeah, I was going to ask you to play on the 4th, but just never, I slipped my mind, I forgot. And he goes, are you already playing? I was like, no, not yet. And haven't heard anything back.
Force on a Sunday, right?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Which I was trying not to play on the 4th because I was just wanting to be home just to, like, calm my dogs down because they go nuts and crap all over the place. Or at least my one dog does. I don't know what the other dog does. But
Look at him, his tail wagging. He's an asshole.
he's like, finally got what I want.
Sit down.
He's giving you the eye.
He just wanted to be on our videos.
Probably. All right. Well, okay, so that was Conceal and Carry, Constitutional Carry. All right. Well, are you happy now, Joe?
So there's one area though I want to clear up because a lot of people don't realize it. So we talked about different places you can go and not go, right? So one area that a lot of people don't realize, you can go into a bar and grill,
Right.
at a certain time of the day until their revenue flips from food to booze, then you're in violation.
Yeah.
And if anybody goes to a bar at a certain time of day and that time elapses and you're sitting in there with your gun and you're having a few drinks, here's the deal. You get caught, you're never going to see, one, you're not going to see your gun again. Two, you'll never see another concealed carry permit ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's an area that a lot of people get caught up in. They think, well, what's it matter? Well, it does, because all of a sudden the revenue in that establishment changes substantially.
Yeah. What do you think, Joe? Is that exciting stuff? All right. So the Second Amendment, here's, okay, we talked about this right before we kind of started this. Second Amendment, for me, I understand it, I guess, somewhat. And I'm an advocate of everybody being able to protect themselves with a firearm. I get that part of it. The thing that bothers me, and I guess I just never paid attention until today, is the very first line of the Second Amendment. It's how it reads. It's
A well-regulated
militia.
Yeah.
So who regulates? Who says it's a well-regulated militia? What constitutes a well-regulated militia? You want to say something, Joe? You want to talk? You can talk.
Well, there's two parts of the Second Amendment, and that's the one that's still quite a bit fuzzy to a lot of people. And there's interpretations that be taken anywhere. I mean, you can go on YouTube and Google Second Amendment, and there's all different types of interpretations on where that first statement comes from.
Right.
But you got to also remember, this happened, in 1791?
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That was when it was ratified. And back then, I mean, they haven't changed anything. I think everybody really truly focuses more on that portion around,
The right to bear arms.
the right to bear arms.
And I, like I said, I understand that. And I understand the fact that it is for protection from our government.
Yeah.
It is given to our people, the people of the United States. We have the right to have weapons or guns, if you will, to protect ourselves from our own government if we deem it necessary in a free state? Well,
it's not just our government. It's the protection of your
But you know what I mean. But it's built for the. I mean, it was really for our government. I mean, the way I understand it, it was built so if we feel as the people, because again, 1700, you're talking a whole different time of
a few years ago,
things were different, so people didn't trust our government, and they still don't trust our government, but you know what I mean? Like they didn't trust that it would be, good for the people or for themselves. So, I think we have it right. I mean, I think it's that well-regulated militia thing. And then, so if you read it as it reads, a well-regulated militia, we have the right to bear arms in a free state. Okay. And that right is not to be infringed.
Yep.
So don't touch it. You can't touch it.
That's why it's still intact.
You can't touch it. Stop trying.
Yeah.
Just stop trying.
Yeah, they're
trying to weave their way in, weasel their way into doing certain things. Listen, do I believe that we need some gun, not laws, but some regulations on gun control? Absolutely. How do we keep the crazies from getting guns?
Yeah.
How do we keep the people who go stand on top of a building and shoot at people? How do we keep them from getting them?
Well, there's a lot of bills out there right now that's being put in front of Congress. That's really gearing towards that, and they go about it in several different ways. Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, can you tell me the last sane individual who shot up anything?
No, I mean that's
no.
There's
no one. So. And you go when they go back and they start doing their research. Well, this guy's had a history of mental illness. How in the hell did he get a gun? Not a gun, like 40 guns.
Yeah.
And the guns he had, how did he get those? You know what I mean? But you don't know. As a gun owner, as store owner, I walk in, I'm a lunatic. You don't know that.
Yeah, we rely everything on the background check by the ATF.
But they don't use. I guess the ATF doesn't use it.
It's time.
Yeah,
it's really time, and that's one of the bills that they're looking at is to change the number of days. Right now, I mean, you literally have got customers that came in today, filled out the paperwork. Most of them are repeat customers. They get a proceed. So you either get a proceed, which you can go ahead and possess the firearm, sell the firearm. Or you get a delay, which means several different things. It could be as simple as your name was Smith,
right? And there's
your first
5,000.
name was John, and there's tons of them, right?
Right.
And they're trying to understand that. And then others is just the fact that they're so busy they can't get to it, so they delay it. And then the third thing you get is a denial, which you're not going to have that possession of the gun, period.
Right.
And they can go through an appeal, and that's what happens. But at the end of the day, they're trying to figure out right now is if you get a delay, it's our policy is 5 business days. The government's policy is 3. And they have 3 days to check it. If we don't see it in 3 days, you can actually do a proceed and transfer the gun, right?
Okay.
Our policy is 5 business days. We've taken it even further, right? Period.
Right.
And a lot of people push on us that way, but we don't give in. Right now, they're talking about adding additional days to this so that they can do the background checks that you're talking about, to look for mental illness, to take it even further. And we're all about it.
I think so. And I mean, I think everybody would be in agreement, but it's just, why is it taking this long?
Yeah.
Our government works slow anyway. So why has it taken it this long to get to that point to where, okay, now we need to do something? No, we need to do something 100 years ago.
I see that as a reasonable change. What I don't see as a reasonable change is some of the things that they put out in front, such as, high capacity mag regulations and eliminations. It's ridiculous, some of the things that they put out there.
The people who own AR-15s, they're generally not the ones who go out and commit serious, heinous crimes.
No.
It's the one who, the guy who has some rifle that he got and he found in his grandpa's garage, and he goes and stands on a bridge and starts shooting people because he doesn't know any better. Because he has a mental illness or whatever. Is Joe talking now?
You might be.
Are you talking, Joe? You want to say something? You want to say something?
So there was a study back in, I think it was during 2018. It might have been 18 and 19. They looked at the number of just the number of deaths by a rifle, right? By a rifle. And the number of deaths by a rifle was like 695. Same time frame with a handgun, it was like 3,800, right? Keep in mind, the 700 that I'm talking about, or the 695 in that time frame, that included deer rifles, every rifle there was, not what they call
assault
incorrectly,
or
assault rifles, right? Because that's one of the biggest.
Because AR does not stand for assault rifle.
No, it stands for armor light rifle.
Yeah, everybody's like, it's an AR, it's an assault rifle. Yeah. No, that's not what it means.
But they have other bills that's in front of them. There's a bill on the silencers. Somebody put this bill in front of them because and to get us to attain a silencer, first of all, the silencer is going to cost you right now. They're going to cost you anywhere from $5,000 to, and that's a small 22, $5,000 up to $2,000. Right. But the bill that they put in place, and the reason why they're talking about it is this individual that put it in front of them. I can't remember who it was. It was a senator. He said that a lot of the bad people have silencers and they're killing.
How do they afford it?
No, they can't afford it. They can't go through the background check. You come in today to buy a silencer. I'll sell you one. And you're going to walk out, and I'm going to have about $1,200 to $1,500 of your money, and you might get a reply in 18 months saying you can have it.
Yeah,
and I've got it. It's sitting in my safe.
I want one for my deer rifle, just so when I shoot and miss, they don't run. Bang, and and then they just take off running, and I'm like, dang it. Yeah. If it just went, they'd be like looking around, I'm like, oh, didn't get him.
But no, there's a lot that's out there right now.
Yeah. Well, so as a gun store owner, as a business owner, would you recommend people? I mean, because I'm sure you get the hate. Like, you guys are the reason, I'm sure you have some people that hate on you for owning a gun store. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. It doesn't, you can't please everybody. Everybody's not into guns, but, I'm sure you get the hate, but would it be something that you're like, hey, if you're looking to get into and you love guns and collecting and because I know you're a collector too, you have a lot of guns that you've collected and I'm sure Brian does as well, your partner. I mean, it's like, would you recommend somebody would you recommend that business to someone to get in the gun store business or is it something that you're just like, man?
You've got to be passionate about it. It's not like, hey, I'm looking for a job or I'm looking for a business to start. I'm going to do I got solicited today by somebody in Kansas. They had 3 or 4 locations. They think it'd be great for a firearms business. Wanted me to consider opening up a place in Kansas.
Right.
That was 3 emails today and a phone call. I was like, no, I'm not interested right now. Right. I would say if you've got passion about it, I would say you really need to do your due diligence. There's been many times that we've looked at a second location and we said no. And many times that we looked at getting a larger location and we said no.
Right. That was going to ask. The other thing is, has business grown in the last couple of years with COVID? I know buying a boat last year for me was almost impossible to find a boat that you could purchase. I've heard people talking about RVs and campers and stuff. Can't find them. Yeah. People just went crazy trying to get outside and do stuff.
Yep.
Is that something that you've seen a big swing in the business over the last year and a half?
Oh, yeah.
Just like people just coming in to get into hunting or shooting or whatever.
April and May of 2020 was some phenomenal sales. I mean, it was just, and the gun industry could not keep up. And it got to the point to where you just weren't getting a lot of anything.
Right.
You used to be able to call and order. You can't even order today. Well, let me rephrase that. You can order, and they'll put you on a list, and if it comes up, they'll call you and say, hey, you still want it? So there's not like, I have people come in today and say, yeah, I'd like to have that new, that new M4 Benelli. Can you get that for me? I can't, right? The only way you're going to find that is online somewhere, and you'll be lucky to find it. But yeah, it's all the different gun manufacturers have actually is actually pumping things out a little bit differently now. So we're seeing a little bit more of inventory rolling in. Ammunition's a whole different story. Ammunition's been very difficult to get. And what's really concerning to me is, the toughest thing to get right now is what I'd say is a large magnum loads for handguns. And anything from 243, 270, 30-06, none of that. All of that's hard to get right now because everybody's all the manufacturers of ammunition is really pumping through the 9mm and the NATO rounds and things of that nature, 5.56, 223.
Right.
And they're struggling because they don't have employees, right?
Yeah.
They don't have employees.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Lake City. There was a guy in Lake City. He's one of the he's a press operator for the 5.56 line. He's told me the other day when he was in there on his day off. He says, we can't hire people and we're paying $22 an hour, and nobody wants to come to work. There's a problem.
That's a big issue. That's a whole nother podcast. That one.
That is a good
issue.
That's a good. Yeah, that is a good for a podcast.
That'll be next week.
That'll be next week.
Next week's podcast.
All right, guys. Well, that's our show today. Thanks to Ron Sevart for coming over and doing the podcast with us. Gunner's Firearms. If you're in the I don't know, if you're in the mood to buy or in the market to buy,
or you just have questions, stop by. Either Ron or Brian or one of the guys in the shop will be able to answer all your stuff, all your questions, all your gun needs. They can fulfill, I think, pretty much. We will do our best.
They'll do their best, absolutely. So that's in Raymore. What is the address? It is
402 Pine Street, Suite C.
Yep, 402 Pine Street, Suite C, right across the street from the Sonic. So you can get yourself a burger and then fly right over and get yourself a gun.
And by the way, if you're going to get a burger, give us a call. It might be about time for lunch.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening today. And make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the we need the 5-star rating, and
that's right.
And we need reviews, and just write a review, even if you don't like it and you say you guys are the worst ever. Leave it, but make sure you give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts for sure. But dude, that's how we get better. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, and we'll try to stay away from the stuff you don't like as much as possible. But at the end of the day, it's still my show, so I don't really care what you like.
That's right. Spread the word.
Yeah.
And social media, just give us a share. Whatever.
Whatever it is, man. I've been listening to podcasts for a while and different podcasts, and I think we match up pretty good, man. I think what we do and what we talk about, people enjoy. I would imagine, because some of the things I listen to, I would listen to this podcast. Honestly, kind of informative. We're pretty funny. I'm really handsome. I don't know.
Huh.
Really?
Anyway, all right, guys, that's
Handsome, perfect for podcasting.
Perfect.
Thanks, you guys. Yeah, I appreciate being part of this.
Man,
Absolutely.
thanks for stopping by and taking the time. We appreciate it. Anyway, that's it. We'll see you next time.
Ain't this a sweet life?
Hey, guys, thanks for listening. Want to ask a question for a future episode? Well, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter with #SweetLifePodcast. And be sure to give us a 5-star rating and hit that subscribe button. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to stay up to date on the latest news and information for the Sweet Life Podcast. And we'll see you next time.